Right, this is the 8th reading, chapter 9, Ellen G. White, the Ministry of Healing. The Lord has often chosen for his co-laborers men who have had opportunity to obtain but a limited school education. So these are the people that he uses. These men have applied their powers most diligently, and the Lord has rewarded their fidelity to his work, their industry, their thirst for knowledge. He has witnessed their tears and heard their prayers. And sometimes the smallest thing can increase another person's faith. Let me explain something to you. I've had this friend for a very long time in the church whom I looked up to in a great deal. I respected him very much. And I went through a lot of hard times in this church that I'm in, the Seventh-day Adventist Church, a lot of trials. And finally, when I lifted up my head and I started with my ministry as my books that I write about propaganda, and all my books leads people to Christ. But when I wrote my first book and I sent it to this man, he didn't even acknowledge my book. He just showed complete indifference. Now that, to me, is the most unloving act I've ever come across in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And this is from a big guy in the church. He's one of the top evangelists. And I just realized this thing that God looks at hearts. He uses the people whose hearts are right. And even though your ministry might be small, even something small like that, acknowledging someone else's efforts and praising them and encouraging them to do more will increase their faith, because your message is seen by them as a message from God. And you do not want to show people the message from God is, I ignore your efforts. It's totally contradictory to God. God wants you to do things, to become better, to grow in your ministry. And he absolutely encourages you. All over the Bible, he encouraged, do good, be good to other people. So a small thing, just by giving other people attention and love, can mean more than the biggest ministry in the church. As his blessing came to the captives in the courts of Babylon, so does he give wisdom and knowledge to his workers today. God has blessed me with a lot of knowledge, with a health message, and he gave it all to me for free. There's nearly no condition that I cannot treat with natural remedies. I treat myself often, and it works. There's some things that you cannot fix, but that you do need operations for, or medical treatment for, but most of the things you can make better with a healthy lifestyle. Men deficient in school education, lowly in social position, have, through the grace of Christ, sometimes been wonderfully successful in winning souls for him. The secret of their success was their confidence in God. And you can only have confidence in God when you've built a relationship with him, when you start seeing him do the work in your life. You cannot possibly build faith if he hasn't tested you. And he stretches you every time a little bit further, a little bit further. They learn daily of him who is wonderful in counsel and mighty in power. Such workers are to be encouraged. There we go again. Encouragement is very important. It's not about praising other people and making them big, and the Seventh-day Adventists have this thing, they don't praise each other at all, because that is sin. That's absolute nonsense. God wants you to encourage other people, to give them a little bit of positive feedback, validate other people's efforts. It's important to them. It doesn't mean that you are now like a fan and a celebrity relationship. That's not what it is. A godly encouragement is the most important thing you can do for another human being. It's love. It's love. The Lord brings them into connection with those of more marked ability. to fill up the gaps that others leave, their quickness to see what is to be done, their readiness to help those in need, their kind words and deeds open doors of usefulness that otherwise would remain closed. They come close to those in trouble, and the persuasive influence of their words has power to draw many trembling souls to God. Their work shows what thousands of others might do if they only would. A broader life. Nothing will so arouse a self-sacrificing zeal and broaden and strengthen the character as to engage in work for others. So you grow as you minister to others. Many professed Christians in seeking church relationship think only of themselves. They wish to enjoy church fellowship and pastoral care. They become members of large and prosperous churches and are content to do little for others. In this way, they are robbing themselves of the most precious blessings. Everyone wants to be important in church, have an important place in church. They actually harm each other in fighting for the highest position. I just look at them and I laugh because I don't have to be big in the church for God to give me opportunities to be a blessing to other people. He gives me opportunities on a daily basis. So, many would be greatly benefited by sacrificing their pleasant ease-conducing associations. They need to go where their energies will be called out in Christian work, and they can learn to bear responsibilities. Trees that are crowded closely together do not grow healthfully and sturdily. The gardener transplants them that they may have room to develop. A similar work would benefit many of the members of large churches. They need to be placed where their energies will be called forth in active Christian effort. They are losing their spiritual life, becoming dwarfed and inefficient for want of self-sacrificing labor for others. Transplanted to some missionary field, they would grow strong and vigorous. But none need wait until called to some distant field before beginning to help others. So missionary work doesn't have to be out there in the bundus. Missionary work is right here around you. If you ask God, He will give you opportunities right where you are, with what you have, with who you are right now. Doors of service are open everywhere. All around us are those who need our help. The widow, the orphan, the sick and the dying, the heartsick, the discouraged, the ignorant and the outcasts are on every hand. These people are all around us, and those are the people who are being neglected the most. The widow, all of you have women that's single and widows around you. The orphan, their children that hasn't got a father. The sick, there's sick people. Trust me, if you knock on the door next door, you're going to find a sick person. The dying, the heart sick, there's sad people, especially now. People are deeply heart sick at the moment. The discouragement is everywhere. The ignorant, people who doesn't really understand the gospel in the correct way. And the outcast, and in the church there are many outcasts because the cliques in the church creates outcasts. So everywhere you go, there's someone that needs you. We should feel it our special duty to work for those living in our neighborhood. There we go, right there in your neighborhood. I'm going to do the 9th reading of chapter 9, The Ministry of Healing, Ellen G. White.